I am again thankful to all news media outlets for letting me use their contents. I greatly appreciate that. I am available 24/7 if they need any assistance. Now go to the headlines. Hi and very warm welcome at Amir Shackle 5858. I am Amir Shackle. Following news headlines have been reported by world major English news channels and news agencies. So please watch it.
Tonight, the deadly storm system that's about to get worse. The new tornado striking across the country. 7 dead from storms stretching from the Midwest. In Michigan, a tree crushing a family car, killing a 2, 4, and 11-year-old. And the kids gathering outside in Alabama after a possible tornado struck their school. Al Roker is here tracking it all in what is set to be a volatile week. Tensions over tariffs, an up-and-down day for the markets as the auto industry readies for a long and winding road from the White House. It comes as President Trump floats a third term, even though the Constitution forbids it, the fallout and the elections to watch on the eve of key tests for the new administration. Pollen explosion, what's behind the eye-watering stats as allergy season. And down-to-earth, Tom Costello catches up with Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams after their 9-month-long space odyssey. This is NBC Nightly News.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the deadly storm pushing into the east at this hour. Also tonight, President Trump says he's not joking when it comes to a third term. The harrowing video tonight to break in the former sports star's home, his wife and children held at gunpoint, and you'll see it. First tonight, the images coming in this evening, severe storms from Florida up to the Carolinas, and then right up the East Coast, right into New York City. Tornadoes reported in multiple states tonight, one touching down near a school. The oil tanks exploding after likely being struck by lightning. Ginger Z has the forecast. Tonight, President Trump vowing to move forward with a major tariff blitz starting this week. Many countries, including allies, being targeted. The move expected to drive up the cost of groceries, electronics, and cars right here in the U.S. And tonight, the president is serious about a third term, despite the Constitution. And what some Republicans are saying about that tonight. This evening, yet another close call, a passenger jet and an Air Force jet this time at the same airport, Reagan National. Authorities say the cockpit alert came with the planes about 12 seconds apart. There's also news tonight, another incident under investigation, a reported attack inside the control tower. An employee arrested. Overseas tonight, the death toll rising. The race against time to rescue victims in that magnitude 7.7 quake. A pregnant woman and her 5-year-old pulled out alive after 60 hours. Back in the U.S., the powerful explosion tearing through an apartment building. More than a dozen people severely hurt, including many children. Windows blown out, the walls crumbling. The former NFL star and the chilling home surveillance video tonight saying it shows 3 armed men breaking into his home, holding his wife and children at gunpoint. Tonight, authorities investigating the death of a 9-year-old girl following a dental procedure while under anesthesia. Violence targeting Elon Musk's Tesla dealership spreading, not just the U.S. The Yankees tying a major league record, 15 home runs in the first 3 games. So, is it the bat? And tonight here, we remember the iconic actor known as the King of the Bees. He would get 12,000 fan letters a week.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is from CBS News Headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News. Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson.
When a U.S. Army helicopter and an American Airlines plane collided midair near Washington in January, killing 67 people, that was once too often.
But after it almost happened again, a close call Friday between an Air Force plane and a Delta jetliner near Reagan Airport, we decided to investigate.
So how often does it happen, a close call involving a military aircraft?
We found that over nearly 4 decades, it has happened more than 2,000 times. Senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve is in Washington. Chris?
Tonight, the NTSB is investigating this latest incident near Washington's Reagan National Airport, but our data analysis finds nationwide the military appears to account for an outsized number of what the FAA calls near mid-air collisions. Delta Flight 2983 had just taken off from Minneapolis with 136 aboard when its pilots got a collision avoidance alert calling for evasive maneuvers. The reason? 4 Air Force T-38 jets were streaking towards a flyover at Arlington National Cemetery at about 350 miles an hour.
Joining us now with reaction, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is with us. Scott, I won't mention everything, but if you look at 1.4 trillion in investments from the UAE and another trillion from Saudi Arabia and 500 billion from Apple over 4 years and 681 million for EV production, Nissan and Honda, they were going to build plants in Mexico. Now they're going to build them here. Then, of course, you have 100 billion in new domestic chip production, 100 billion from a Taiwanese semiconductor company, and I'm scrolling the rest of them, and you tell me how even the talk of tariffs is not a good thing and has not paid off already for the country.
Sean, since President Trump came in on January 20th, there's just been a line through the Oval Office of the countries and companies who want to bring capital, jobs, and factories to the United States. And we are going to accommodate that through great regulation, low taxes, energy dominance, and President Trump is attracting them back through the tariff plan and insisting on fair trade for the American people, something that he's been talking about for the past 30 or 40 years.
Okay, so it's basically, we agree to free and fair trade, and if you're going to put unfair tariffs on us, there's going to be reciprocal tariffs in exchange. Okay, that sounds fair to me. Why would people have a problem with that? Why would the markets become skittish over the, quote, uncertainty over what tariffs will remain or leave? You can see at the last minute, countries like India are like, okay, I'm ready to make a deal now. The same with, Great Britain, and it's the same with other European countries. I'm ready to talk now because the deadline is coming.
Yep, so April 2nd, we are going to disclose the reciprocal tariffs. I'm not going to get out ahead of President Trump.
On this Monday night, the Conservatives' campaign promised to build a national energy corridor, the plan to fast-track approval for pipelines in the face of U.S. tariffs.
It's time to turn Canada into an economic fortress.
What critics say the idea is lacking. The powerful storm that left hundreds of thousands of Ontarians powerless.
I've been using an upside-down pot over a candle for a heater.
The damage and the falling temperatures. Wisconsin's tightly contested Supreme Court election. How Elon Musk is accused of trying to buy votes.
National, we've got a freezer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The U.S. president promised to bring down prices for American consumers, but Donald Trump now says he doesn't care if the cost of vehicles go up because of the tariffs he's imposing. The world will find out on April 2nd what the U.S. president intends to do. Trump calls it Liberation Day. He could put across-the-board tariffs on everything that's imported by the U.S. from everywhere.
They're reciprocal. So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe.
St. John, New Brunswick is number one on the list of Canadian cities that could lose lots of jobs, and it's where the federal Conservative leader was campaigning today. Heidi Petrachuk is at a Conservative campaign rally.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm Mark Austin. This is the News Hour. 60 minutes of news, analysis, and interviews. We begin right now with the top stories this hour. Moment of truth. Trump's tariffs to be announced tomorrow with no agreement yet on a UK-US trade deal. We may well learn more about what the president has in mind shortly. We're expecting a White House briefing in the next few minutes, and we will bring you that live. Also tonight, Sir Keir Starmer concedes the cost of living crisis is ongoing with a raft of prices going up, but insists the government is on the case.
Wages are going up higher than prices. I'm not going to stand here and say people don't feel the impact of bills. Of course they do. I understand that. The question is, are we making them feel better off?
Thames Valley Police shoot a man dead at Milton Keynes railway station following report he was carrying a firearm. The US Attorney General orders prosecutors to seek the death penalty for the man accused of shooting dead a healthcare executive in New York. And back to business. The King resumes official duties after cancelling engagements due to side effects from his cancer treatment. First this evening, not for the first time.
Welcome back. You're watching 34. Coming up, Emmanuel Macron huddles with key ministers after an ice-breaking phone call with his Algerian counterpart. President Majid Tebboune. Relations between Algiers and former colonial power France hit rock bottom after rows over visas and Paris's recognition of rival Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara. A Democratic senator still holding the floor after 16 hours in the upper chamber. New Jersey's Cory Booker protesting Donald Trump's policies with a marathon filibuster speech. In business, the guessing game surrounding which tariffs Trump will slap on the rest of the world Wednesday. Erling Haaland out 5 to 7 weeks. The Norway striker injuring his ankle in Manchester City's FA Cup weekend quarterfinal over Bournemouth. James Fazzino will have all today's sports news. It's a relationship that
on ABC and ABC iView. Tonight, the Prime Minister pledges more money for healthcare in Adelaide as the opposition leader plans to scrap funding for Victoria's suburban rail loop. The Reserve Bank keeps the cash rate unchanged at 4.1%. Outback Queensland braces for more rain as graziers confront catastrophic livestock losses. And Sam Kerr back with the Tillies for the first time since her London trial. Good evening, Yvonne Young with ABC News, coming to you from the land of the Wurundjeri people. The headline news this hour. The United Nations says Myanmar is in dire need of water and medicine as concerns over the spread of diseases increase. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees has identified the aftermath of last week's 7.7 magnitude quake a top-level humanitarian crisis. It has mobilized supplies such as plastic sheets, sleeping materials, and mosquito nets. Many survivors have been sleeping out in the open for fear of aftershocks and damaged homes collapsing. Aid agencies are also appealing for international financial aid to help replenish their supplies. The military government had said it expects the death toll from Friday's massive tremor to surpass 3,000. More than 4,500 were injured and close to 450 are missing.
The immediate needs of the affected communities, as in any, I would say, earthquake, are becoming increasingly urgent. You have shelter, foods, the clean water, essential household items are all in a short supply. Some people in the affected areas spent the night in the open, and some of us as well, together with the humanitarian actors, because you have no electricity, you have no running water.
It's really dire. I was in the communities on Saturday, and the most immediate and important need is water. It is super hot out there, and communities don't have access to running water, and they don't have access to drinking water. So we have to get water out to communities. We need to be providing water that will last those households a couple of days, and then come back to make sure that they have sufficient for their household needs until we can find a sort of more sustainable option.
Initial findings of the investigation into the collapsed structure in Bangkok show substandard steel were used during construction. The building collapsed during Friday's quake, burying dozens. Investigators took steel samples from the wreckage and found that 10% of the steel bars used were produced in a factory shut down in December over safety violations. At least 21 are confirmed dead from the collapse. The Bangkok governor says they have not found survivors after the critical 72 hours post-quake passed, but they are not giving up hope.
Right now, there's no sign of survival. I think there are maybe 12 bodies inside that we don't remove it yet because some got stuck in the maybe heavy stuff on top of them. So right now, our focus will be more on the survival. So we try to go in. I think the experts still have hope, and I think we continue with hope that the rescue operation is still going on. Even we are in the 4th day already, but there are cases that maybe they survive 1 week, even 2 weeks. So we have to go on.
Elsewhere, the European Union is calling for restraint as China holds military drills around Taiwan. The bloc, while accusing Beijing of increasing cross-strait tensions, urges all parties to avoid any actions that could result in further escalation. The EU also calls for resolving the conflict through dialogue. Remarks from the EU follow statements from the US State Department pledging Washington's continued support for the island. The US says it is closely monitoring Chinese military activity and that it finds no justification for what it calls Beijing's irresponsible threats and military pressure operations near Taiwan. Taipei had activated land-based missile systems and deployed its plans in ships in response to China's large-scale drills. And that's the latest from CNN Newsroom.
French President Emmanuel Macron and his Algerian counterpart President Abdelmajid Tebboune spoke on the phone on Monday and agreed to improve their countries' relationship. After months of tension, they hope to restart cooperation on security and migration, as mentioned in a joint statement. Macron showed trust in Tebboune's decision and called for compassion towards Boualem Sansal, a Franco-Algerian writer sentenced for 5 years in prison by Algeria. Their ties worsened after Macron supported a Moroccan sovereignty plan for Western Sahara, which upset Algeria. The relationship was also strained by the repatriation of Algerians facing expulsions from France. The situation escalated after February attack in Mulhouse, linked to an Algerian national who was denied repatriation. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot is set to visit Algiers on 6th of April to swiftly elevate the bilateral relationship to the level of ambition desired by both heads of state, as stated in a press release.
It may have had to withdraw from the Sudanese capital Khartoum, but the Rapid Support Forces says its war with the army is not over. In a message on social media on Sunday, the paramilitary group's commander Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo described it as a tactical repositioning. The RSF leader says his forces will return to the city stronger, more powerful and victorious. It was his first comments since the group was pushed back from most parts of Khartoum by the Sudanese armed forces last week. Meanwhile, the army has continued its consolidation of recent gains, taking control of the capital's twin city Omdurman. The devastating 2-year-long war began over tensions linked to the country's planned political transition. On Saturday, Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan ruled out any reconciliation with the RSF, vowing to crush it. The fighting has seen more than 12 million civilians displaced, tens of thousands of people killed, and about half the population is now suffering from acute hunger.
China's foreign ministry said Monday that 3 of its nationals suspected of being kidnapped off Ghana's coast are safe. Ghana's armed forces, in a statement, said on Thursday evening report indicating that 7 armed individuals boarded the vessel and fired warnings, prompting several crew members to seek cover in a safe area. After learning about the incident, the Chinese embassy in Ghana immediately activated an emergency mechanism and has been in close communications with the Ghanaian side. Currently, all crew members are safe. China will continue to work with Ghana to effectively safeguard the safety of Chinese citizens and institutions in Ghana. Piracy is not uncommon in the Gulf of Guinea of West Africa. Over the years, the Chinese Ghanaian flags on their vessels to fish in Ghanaian waters, according to watchdogs. Prince Harry has been accused of orchestrating a bullying and harassment campaign to try to force out the chairperson of an African charity he co-founded. Sophie Chandauka, the Centre Valley chair, took several shots at Harry on Sky News.
Can you imagine what that attack has done for me, on me, and the 540 individuals in the Centre Valley organizations and their family? That is an example of harassment and bullying at scale. And so if the world didn't want to believe that there's such a thing as bullying, this unleashing of the Sussex machine on me and the 540 employees at Centre Valley who received this and have had to defend it.
In one incident, she blamed Harry of turning a charity event into commercial last year in Miami. She further claimed that the biggest risk to charity was the toxicity of its lead patron's brand.
So I put a whistleblower complaint about the bullying, the harassment, and the misogyny, and Prince Harry interfered in the investigation of that. And the senior independent director who should have taken care of it was the very same person who then delivered the news to me that I was going to by the book.
People about trying to do it. I do say that there's a way you do it. I don't know. I want to do a fantastic job. We have 4 years just.
Thank you very much for giving time to Amir Shekel 5858. I am Amir Shekel. Have a good life. Bye-bye.